And I'm just left like side-eyeing, like, really? That was it? My book peeps, it is Courtney here. We are at the end of June, so you know what that means. That is June wrap-up time. So I didn't participate in any formal readathons this particular month, but I did closely follow the amazing readathon. That's a good time. So anyway, so the books that I read this month, okay, I started with Perfect Peace. This was a group buddy read by my girl Jaleesa at Reading Me on the Book Covers, and we also had Kiana at Shexy Lady. We had a really good time with this book. I'm going to link the discussion video as well as my dedicated video for this book down below, okay? If you know, you know. I also took a look at some manga by Junji Ito, okay? He specializes in horror. And so I had a few by him. I read, oh my gosh, is that the right way? Yeah, so Ichi, very interesting, creepy little kid. I also had Geo here. It's got a little sci-fi in there. You got Tomi here, big book. Okay, it's like over 700 pages. And didn't care for this one too much, No Longer Human. But I got a dedicated video of books by Junji Ito. You can check that out. I'm going to link that below. Now, I did get also into some new releases. So I have 5 Broken Blades. This book came out in May of this year. Now, 5 Broken Blades is an adult fantasy. Characters on their way basically to steal a king's crown and to murder him. They're all liars, thieves, basically folks that cannot be trusted. Now, along the way to steal this magical crown, there's some romance, there's some manipulation, backstabbing, and some murder. And they're also trying to figure out if it's even possible to get this crown. But this book was good. It wasn't exactly what I expected. For one, it has 6 different POVs. Now, despite that, you still are able to get into each of these characters. So I did appreciate that. And I felt that it was very heartwarming. Now, that said, I do think that this book read YA quite a bit in their interactions with some of the characters. So that kind of threw me off. But you have a lot of serious topics that's discussed in here. Like you have sexual assault, you have colonialism, addiction, and also political corruption. So a pretty dense book from what I did not expect. And I liked all the life lesson quotes that are sprinkled throughout. But I will say there is like a sexy time in here, but it is closed door, and that rubbed me the wrong way. So I was a bit pissed at that. Now, the ending is not a cliffhanger per se, but this does continue into another book, and the ending was not satisfactory for me because it left me with more questions than answers. And for me to get a proper resolution, then I definitely need to read the next book, which I'm not solidified that I'm going to do. But I think it's going to be released early next year, so take a look if you dare. Let's see. Okay, so keeping with another new release, this is I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons by Peter Beagle, and this also came out in May. Now, this is an epic fantasy that is not labeled YA, but to me, it definitely reads YA all over it. But it's about a princess who wants to marry a good-looking, heroic prince. And then you have this good-looking but cowardly prince and this heroic dragon exterminator that doesn't really care to be going around killing dragons. Dragons are very commonplace. They're like house rats, if you will, in this particular time period. I was about like halfway through with this book before I actually felt like I was vested in it. Halfway through is about where they start going on this dragon quest to find, you know, the big boy dragon. Up until then, it was basically a bunch of annoying characters and lots of lead up to the quest. And I will say that this book had lots of words that I had to interpret. Now, generally, I don't mind authors making up some words, but it was just completely overkill in this book, and I was just skipping over a lot of them. Now, this book has a lot of little quirky side characters, which I enjoyed a whole lot, including some, you know, dragons. And I thought there was going to be some sort of plot with these little dragons that never came to fruition. So I was really annoyed with that. It's like they just kind of fell off the radar. But I did enjoy the unconventional princess, all the dragon fights, and the comedy. Definitely had a lot of comedy throughout the book. And I will say that what happened to the king was priceless. I thought that was very unique and well done in that respect. But there we go. This guy apparently, Peter Beagle, has a huge backlist if you're interested. Now, this book was also released in May, okay? This is Wind Among the Crows by Veronica Roth. Now, Veronica Roth wrote the Divergent series. Now, I've never read it, but I did watch the movies, and they were pretty good. This is my first time venturing into her. So, this book is a fantasy novella, very short, and it is steeped in Slavic folklore. So, you have 3 people that are on this mission to find the Baba Yaga, which is a powerful witch, and they are trying to get a curse cured and to kill someone. But everyone has secrets that requires a sacrifice, and sacrifice creates debts, and debts create a space for magic, which requires blood. I like that, right? I enjoyed this book. I just felt that a lot of parts in it was confusing and I didn't know what was going on. There was a lot of bird references too that I couldn't even pronounce some of the names. That was a big part of the book too, by the way. I did think that it was cool that you have these creatures that basically feed off of people's emotions. So that was pretty interesting. Now, I did feel that the book was mysterious and had a lot of action, but I just felt that something in it was lacking for me. I just felt that like there was a lot of build up and then it was like a quick resolution. And I'm just left like side-eyeing like, really? That was it? I just expected more. Especially when that romance was introduced. I just came out of nowhere and I was like, you know? So anyway, it's okay. I'm not a fan of the cover either, but you know, whatever. It's short. So I also read Allie Hazelwood's Bride. Now, this is my first foray into Allie Hazelwood, and she's a trip. Kind of corny, but very, very comical, okay? So in here, you have this vampire who is basically forced to marry this like a werewolf shifter, right? It's supposed to help create this alliance of some sort. And then there's this whole thing about fated mates and what could or could not be. But it's basically a whole bunch of them getting to know each other before they get down and dirty, okay? Now, here's the thing. This book to me reminds me of a Kindle Unlimited shifter book, right? Which I enjoy thoroughly. I have no issues with them. This one seems like a more fleshed out, a publishing company with money and a good editor put their oomph behind it to get this out because it is fleshed out very well. So I would call this a high budget KU novel without as much smut as I expected it to be. So I was a bit disappointed in that respect, but it was a fun, good time. Now, if you have read this book and you know what the knot is, let me know what you thought of that because that was very weird and creepy. I was just like, what is going on? But it was a good time. There was a lot of really heartfelt moments in this book that I didn't expect. But I did think that it was cheesy. I think it's ridiculous that you got this super sexy architect or smart guy, but he can't, and he flies a plane, but he doesn't know how to operate a computer or a cell phone. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, it was okay. Just very long for what it was, but it was a fun, sarcastic time, and I did enjoy it. And the last book I got is this one, A Psalm for the Wild Built. And I finished this and I'm actually about to start, what's the sequel? A Prayer for the Crown Shy. I love that name. But this is basically a monk and robot book by Becky Chambers, okay? And so this is about a robot named Moscap who is encountering sibling Dex, who is this monk who's on this mission to deliver basically counseling tea services or whatnot. Robots have left the human world and are living out by themselves, and Moscap is trying to understand humans and is on a mission and encounters Dex here. But very heartfelt. You have a lot of introspection into human nature and to how humans have changed. This is set in the future. And about protecting the environment, protecting nature, and infringing on environment and what that means. I think there's a lot of really funny parts in here, which I like. Like, I like the fact that you have a robot that finds it entertaining to just sit and watch stalagmites grow for decades. I think that's really fun. But I do like the idea that you have a non-binary character and you have autonomy with the robot. So that's pretty cool. It's slow paced for sure, and there's a lot of kind of like essay-ish type conversations where, you know, a certain point is being made. But I did enjoy that, and I'm looking forward to reading the next book. And I believe that is all I have read for this month, I think. Anyway, so I'm gonna go probably start a prayer for the Crown Shy and see what else goodies I can get from the library, okay? So please like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you on the flip side. Bye-bye.